Good evening, people. How do you brew? How do you brew this evening? Hope you're well. Welcome to the Brews at 10. On my left eye, I'm your host, Lefty. Thank you very much for joining me this evening. Please hit thumbs up on the stream. Or the video, if you're watching back later. We've got Doc and Chris in the chat. Hi, Doc. Oh, you're Doc. I'm Lefty Doc. Okay. And hello to Chris as well. Everybody got that? No, thanks for joining me in the chat. Nice and early. I know that I am clashing with one or two other live streamers tonight, so thank you very much for being here. And it's been a long week, and obviously all of the results are now in for the local elections. I'm going to be going over those. It's quite grim. There are some minor positives, perhaps even a major positive when you look at, well, not even macro trends, something that could potentially be positive in just a short amount of time. He teases. Obviously, the big sort of sensation is reforms grab for councils, and in the mayoral seats as well. Some of the mayoral seats, there were some really close run ones, just as I was predicting the other day. But I'll give a full analysis. But apart from the reform gains, there were some really excellent gains for the Greens as well. Positivity, yes, let's try and focus on that, people. Well, we all know what the bad end of this recent election would have been. We're sort of a mile away, you know. We've been talking about this for 10 months. No, since before the election. And it has played out exactly by the numbers, by the book. Yeah, Labour have been absolutely destroyed. The final stats are slightly different at the moment, but I did a bit of a post in community and on social media earlier that you might have seen. And at one point, there were only 8 councillors ahead of the Green Party at one point, with only a few seats left to go, but they're all in now. And in fact, that meme that I put on just before I came on the mic sums it up pretty well. I can't take the credit for this one. This is from social media. Apologies, can't remember the name of the account off the top of my head, but I will check that out and credit them in the description afterwards. This is what it's been, this is what's happening now, and where Labour are going under Starmer. More about that as well. Even the most hardened Starmerite couldn't blame this on long Corbyn, as they call it, or used to. Now they've got long Starmer, and that is actually a thing. Yeah, the text is a bit small there, I'll just read them out. So first off, in the bottom left corner, he thinks, guys, we can steal these votes by pandering to the right. And then, oh, Going up, are we? I'ma just pander to the right even more. Laughing my ass off. I don't think you'd actually say I'ma. But anyway. Further up they go, and then Reform Surge, he thinks, can be halted by pandering to their voters more. Yeah. But come on, people, say it with me, you know. If you're going to take Reform on at their own game, you're fighting a losing battle. In fact, as far as local elections go, the battle has been fought and lost. But then the one at the end, after the results, and he's thinking, oh, if only we'd pandered to the right more. And that is summarily correct, which I'll be getting into at the end of my analysis. Couple of surprises. There were a couple of surprises, not just, I mean, the extent of Reform's gains and the swing from Labour. I will also be getting onto this attack on the aid ship, the protest group ship that was on its way to deliver aid to Gaza. It was hit by a drone. Apparently, the BBC haven't got a clue as to who could possibly be behind this. I'm sure they've got the finest journalists in the land on this one. Just who could it be? Plus maybe one or two other tidbits. It's not going to be a mega long stream tonight, like a 2-hour plus one. But just wanted to get my thoughts on these results out while it's fresh. The last result came in just a short time before I came on air. Floor Snake. Awesome to see you. And Odin. Yeah, I don't think I'll be getting through the analysis without pointing out just how out of touch Labour are with voters. I think the results speak for themselves as far as that goes, really. But also just in terms of the direction that they've headed on. And I think that they're going to stay on as well. Oh, and very quickly, for the record, my borough ward wasn't one of the ones that had an election last night, which is quite frustrating, but there have been some other localish results that I'll get into. Doc Davies, Helen Godwin beat Aaron Banks. Whereabouts is that? Exactly? Ish? Just tell us ish. Or you can invite us all round for a brew if you want, put your full address in. No, don't. I literally don't, obviously. Yes, so let me know if your borough or ward got a result last night, if you went to the ballot. Not everybody did. And it was only a short time ago that I was highlighting on the channel how the fact that some of them weren't going to be voting was kind of foreshadowing damage limitation on Starmer's part. If you want to sum it up, yeah. Bristol, South Gloucestershire and Bath and North East Somerset. Ah. Bit of a trek for a brew, Doc, but I'll bear that in mind next time I'm in that region. Okay, people, time for a shout out to the members on the channel. Sadly, there have been quite a few people who haven't renewed the memberships this week, so we're still on 74. But thank you very much, everybody. This is the latest hot off the press list. But yeah, thanks for everybody who did renew, of course, as well as people who've gifted memberships to others. And if you've just joined for the first time recently, thank you very much for that. Welcome aboard. Everybody's welcome here in the Brew Crew, Solidari-Tea. Brewdayism, people, it's coming soon, and you know it makes sense. Inform your relevant local committees and trade unions. Okay. Thanks again, everybody. And there have been a few new names on the list recently, so once again, welcome to new members. Nina Sadie in the house. Recently upgraded to a Corbin as well. Nice to see you again. Not doing too bad. These results are difficult to swallow for anybody, I guess, unless you're far right. Which, of course, we aren't here on my left eye. And I need to see you. Where are you? Let's get you on the screen, people. Just refresh. There we go. It just needs a bit of a reminder every now and then. That chat box can get a bit laggy. Yeah, that's brought us to the end of a long week. I had a nice evening yesterday. I can tell you, I went to meet up with some of my JSO friends. We've not got together for a while, and we were all down, a lot of us were down in London at the weekend, obviously, but not everybody could make it as well. So it was great to catch up with a few people who couldn't make it, as well as, yeah, just chew the fat and have a chilled night out in Manchester. My pal Footfoots, nice to see you. How you doing, pal? Yeah, but it's a long weekend if you're living in the UK. We have our bank holiday Monday for anybody who gets the bank holiday off. My pal Footfoot, you were flattered by Turn Left, is that right? Oh, I think they were streaming earlier, is that what you mean? No, great stuff, great channel. Everybody, obviously, if you've not heard of Turn Left, check them out. Curtis and the team. Yeah, I've been following them for a while now. Oh, that was a funny thing as well. I was talking to James Skeet last night, who you might have seen Helena from No Justice do an interview with. I think that was this week or over the weekend. Can't remember exactly what day it was on. Helena was doing it for Novara Media, I think. So that was really cool. Yeah, to see someone who I know being interviewed by a fellow streamer and friend of the channel. It's a small world, but with big potential, people. Alright, let's bring up the final results and crack on with this. I don't have an uplifting comedy clip at the start, I'm afraid. I'll be reminding you of the latest episode of the Brews at 10, the album, later. But I'll just get straight into these local election results. And the mayoral elections, wow. God. Tough reading, tough to swallow. We knew this was coming. It's out of the frying pan into the fire, politically. But that's on a macro scale. So we've just got the latest. All 23 councils have now declared. Let's get over to the screen, see what's happening. So there we have 74 members, you can see at the top. Just by the way. Fortunately, we've seen a lot of pictures of Farage and his beaming, Hatrakian-faced, like a toad, all day. Yeah. But they can laugh it up for now. But for reasons I'm going to get into through this analysis, where councils go, I think this is peak. This is peak reform. Whatever is going to happen in terms of deals between them and the Tories in the future or not. So it's quite small on the screen there. Apologies for that. I'll just quickly read through the full results. Reform have bagged 677 councillors. In second place, Liberal Democrats gaining 163 to go 370. That was actually a bit of a surprise for me. I could have seen them poaching some from Labour, especially where Labour are politically at the moment. Lib Dem have now declared themselves as the party of Middle England, essentially, which means middle class. In the UK, that being in a tier above working class, that is. It's not the same as being working class in the United States of America. Anyway, that did shock me. And the Tories, well, what can you say? We didn't really think they certainly weren't going to get any better for the Tories. Some people thought they just might have languished where they were. Any reform gains would come from Labour. But remember again, this is at a local level. They've had the chance last July to do this at a national scale. And this is the first time since then that we've been to the ballot, sort of, not en masse, but in significant numbers. And they have lost what was approximately, well, over 2/3 of the seats that they had, down 676, leaving them with just 317. And yeah, I could have seen them going down a little more. People still, have the 14 years of Tories fresh in the mind. It's not as though Starmer doesn't remind everybody about that every chance he gets. But it's been catastrophic for the Tories as well as Labour, who I'll now move on to. And look at 99. They're in double digits. They're just in double digits across the UK. Down 186. So they've taken a bashing. They really have taken a bashing. It was either Farage or Ed Davey who said, I think it was someone from Reform, but that the two-party politics is essentially finished now. And it is, well, in a way, and I've been tired of sort of screaming this from the rooftops for years now, that's the way it's always been. Been in countless debates on social media or wherever about getting people behind smaller parties, about getting people behind grassroots socialist parties, independents, the Greens, and this. And at a certain point, you get the response, oh, well, they're not going to win, are they? When you're trying to illustrate to people how they should vote for the party that's values are closest to the ones that they hold. That's pretty much how democracy is supposed to work, is it not? So a lot of people reject that in favour of tactical voting, or just being stuck in the mindset that it is either the Tories or Labour. And I pointed out on several occasions since, well, I guess you'd have to say the Corbyn era, and then going into the Starmer era, specifically talking to people who were backing Keir Starmer, who were following that rhetoric, the old Alistair Campbell, who else are you going to vote for? Who else are they going to vote for? Clarion call, I guess you could say. But only as recently as 2010, the Liberal Democrats were part of a coalition government, but were actually in office more recently than Labour, nonetheless, prior to last year's result, of course. So in that period of time, that space between the Corbyn era and last July, I've had to point this out quite often. But that sort of spell, the two-party illusion, does now appear to be utterly shattered. I guess, like I said in some recent content, that is one of the positives to take out of this, if you want some positivity. And in these times, in these dark days, we need as much of that as we can get, don't we, people? While I'm on that note, let's stay a little more positive. Whilst it was a drop in seats for independents, obviously there's going to be a thoroughly mixed bag there of where the candidates are on the political spectrum. think you probably have pretty much the full range. They've gone down, but the Greens have gone up by 45 seats, which is fantastic. You know, practically double the number of councillors. So again, this is new ground for them. So that's the overall results. Let's just have a quick. We'll have a quick scan at the mayoral results. And some of these were really close, people. Like, they had a recount on one of them. And Reform won by 6 votes, was it? During the recount, it was rumoured that they were going to win it by 4. And it turned out to be 6. Incredibly close, incredibly close. So these are the councils that have changed hands. So Lib Dem, who again I'm surprised with their result, have taken control of Oxfordshire, Cambridgeshire and Shropshire. But Reform have taken some Labour councils in several areas, as you can see there. Derbyshire County Council, Nottinghamshire, Lancashire, which is just next door to us here in Greater Manchester. County Council, I'm very disappointed by that, Lancashire, if you're listening. Or anyone in Kent, Doncaster, Staffordshire, Lincolnshire, Durham. Obviously not disappointed in you. I'm sure I know that you good people here in the chat and listening back would have voted Socialist, as you should have done. Look, quite a few with no overall control. I sort of anticipated this. I was expecting a lot of close results. So look at the list there: Wiltshire, Gloucestershire, Hertfordshire, Warwickshire, Leicestershire. Yes, that's how you pronounce it, Americans. Only joking. Cornwall. Here we go. This is a tough one for anybody over the pond. Worcestershire County Council, Devon and Northumberland. Why, man. So let's see. You've got the Lib Dems with the most councillors in Wiltshire and Gloucestershire in that case, and also Hertfordshire. In Warwickshire, the Tories lost control. Same in Leicestershire. Reform getting the most seats in Cornwall, Northumberland, and Conservatives losing out in Worcestershire and Devon. Okay. Just skimming through for the mayoral results. I thought there was a comprehensive list here. Let's just go back to the home page. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button, people. Great to see Stu in the chat. Speaking of the chat, so I've been staring at all the stats there. I'm going to just quickly skim through. See if there's anybody else in the chat who had a vote yesterday. Emma Richardson, thanks for joining us. Yeah, keep me posted, people. If you want to share with us who you voted for. Obviously, that's up to you. That's your prerogative. You can rightfully choose to withhold that. But if you want to say anything about the result, where you were, let us know. Okay, I was just going to check out this article. I think there's a list here. God, I'm sick of seeing him smiling. Eh. Oh, that was something else I wanted to say as well, of course. Posed the question in the last live stream as to whether it would be a record loss for Labour. Not quite. They have equalled with just 20% of the vote overall. That's incredibly poor. Okay, so they managed to cling on by the skin of their teeth to the mayoralties in Doncaster, North Tyneside and the west of England. You might remember that west of England one was one that we were taking a look at the other day, and we did think that was going to be close. Stu, thanks for joining us with a membership. Hope you enjoy the perks and benefits. Thanks again for that. Solidari-Tea. But where was I? As this article says, Starmer's response has been, all he says is the results show the need for the party to go further and faster, and God, you could you can write it yourselves, can't you, at this point? You can script all the responses. So it's going to be to deliver. Sorry, it's the wrong day. My days mixed up. But to deliver on voters' priorities in government and adding, I get it. No, you don't get it, Keith. This is why this has been an absolute shambles for you, equaling the worst result ever. And they certainly don't get it. Further and faster. What does that mean? What does that mean? We're not talking about long-distance voyages here, Keith. We're talking politics. Further and faster. Further from the truth and faster to the bottom. Is that what he means? Further from success and faster to the destruction of the Labour Party, the once great mighty Labour Party, which was the biggest in Europe in terms of membership at one point. In fact, whilst we're on that subject, I've got a clip lined up here. It's not Starmer, but it just illustrates the ignorance. They think that they're not doing enough of what they're doing now is the problem. The results speak for themselves. Obviously, that's not working. The graph that I had on the meme at the start of the live stream again just sums it up very well. So well, in fact, that it could be a meme. just need to add the membership goal to this particular scene. Okay, so it's Peter Kyle who was talking to Laura Kussenberg, who... Oh, apologies. Yeah, there we go.
The new mayor of...
This was as the results were coming in earlier today, I believe. But what he says sums it up perfectly, and I obviously have no love for Laura Kussenberg any less than the next person, but even she knows just how ridiculous Kyle's responses are. Even she knows that the definition of stupidity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Obviously, Labour's obsession with ridding the Labour Party of socialists has been a major factor in this as well. Kussenberg didn't bring that up, but I certainly will. Or was that a renewal on your membership? Thanks again for that, Stu. Really do appreciate that. Renew, renew, and restore the earth. Renew your memberships, restore the earth. I hope someone's writing all these slogans down. I'm giving you gold here, people. Right, let's go.
Doncaster, newly re-elected Mayor of Doncaster, who's a prominent member of your party, has just told everybody watching that Keir Starmer has made 3 mistakes: winter fuel allowance, national insurance and PIP payments, and she wants him to listen carefully and properly to the concerns of working people in this country. And I'd like you to respond to that.
Well, I'll respond first of all, if you don't mind, Laura. But apparently I've heard that on every single doorstep it was the same response. They would talk about winter fuel payments and PIP. The more like the Tories, Labour have become, the less people have been interested. They're not concerned about any stop the gangs rhetoric coming from Labour. If you want to be an immigration basher or knuckle dragger, then people are going to go to reform. You're not going to win people over with that. So what is it that's going to be the thing that gets Starmer in touch with the people on the street? That's a hypothetical, of course. I know that's not going to happen. I think he's damn lucky that, in a way, that these results came in very early on into the Labour government. We're not even 20% of the way through yet. Otherwise, there could be calls for him to step down or resign. I still have it in the back of my mind that there'll be another Labour leader standing in the 29 election. And if things keep going this way, it's easy to see why. Let's crack on with Peter Kyle.
We responded it by explaining at the moments we took those decisions. Firstly, when it came to the winter fuel payments, we had to get a grip on the finances when we came in, simply because of the state of the finances that we inherited in the £22 billion black hole.
Ding, ding, ding. Again, the same. It's going to be the same phrases before, during and after. They're just going to squeeze twice as many delivering the plan for changes into what they say, whether it's in official party political broadcasts or in interviews or at the dispatch box at the House of Commons. Really. And BUFU Mike is in the house as well. Nice to see you in the chat. This was earlier today, and you can see at the time that this was going on, Reform were already in the lead with Reform on 55 Labour in third. Labour have ended up coming fourth. Excuse me, just having a sip of my tea. They've ended up coming fourth. And also equaling the worst result ever. They can shout £22 million black hole until they're blue in the face. It obviously doesn't wash at this point. It's been 10 months. We can blame what they inherited. But here's the thing, Peter, Kyle. Here's the thing. Did they inherit a post-war budget? No. Because our country was virtually bankrupt at the end of the Second World War, and we still managed to build the NHS. We had to practically sell off, almost the entirety of the Commonwealth to help us win World War II and World War One. So if we can achieve such great socialist institutions as the NHS, like we did post-war, then don't say that £22 billion in a £2 trillion economy is the only thing holding you back from actually bringing a real change to people's lives and de-Torifying everything. We knew it was a crock when you said it, and that's given another easy shot to the critics as well. People know that it was a crock of shit in the run-up to the local election. Now they know, now that the votes are in. It's sad. It's a very sad state of affairs. It's sad politics. And it's no wonder with neoliberal dinosaurs at the helm. Oh yes, behind the scenes, Peter Mandelson and Tony Blair have been quite busy over recent years, haven't they? Great tactics. It's almost like, the worst sort, there's a lot of nostalgia with bands and groups getting back together at the moment. There have been over recent years, from the 90s, like boy bands and stuff. I think you might have seen a bit of that going around. And it's kind of the same with 90s politics, the new Labour sort of thing. It's already been sold and been found out, but they're trying to sort of give it another bash with the same tactics, different branding and things. And at the end of the day, while Tony Blair did a lot of things that I disagree with, he at least had somewhat of an element of charisma when you compare him to Keir Starmer. Who's as wooden as aisle 14 of B&Q, whatever. He's as wooden as the Ardennes. But he's got nothing. Starmer's got nothing. So carry on, Peter. What was this about, this fresh new perspective about a £22 billion black hole? Do tell us more.
If we hadn't done that, then we would have ended up with further destabilisation in the economy, further runs against the financial institutions that we saw under Liz Truss, and that would have damaged working people first and worst. When it comes to welfare reform, we are investing more into welfare, not less. But we need to make sure that those people who can work get the support.
No. Lies. You see, at the end of the day, people see this in real terms, in what's in the pocket and what things cost. Those are the two fundamental metrics by which people are going to judge Labour. And no series of phrases can magic the price of a weekly shop down or an energy bill and they can't magic money into people's pockets. What Labour have done is magicked money out of pensioners' pockets, out of people on PIP's pockets, as well as the unemployed as well. Terrible. Out of touch. And just one more thing on the 22 billion thing. The money is there. Obviously, it's in the hands of the rich. We all know that. But we recently signed up a deal with Ukraine for £100 billion, wasn't it? Spread over, believe it or not, a century. So unless that war lasts that long, then surely that frees up some money. So if by whatever happens with this mineral deal being signed between Ukraine and America and other there's been a temporary 3-day ceasefire recently. Whatever happens, if it gets cut short, even in the next 10 years, then surely we get 90 years worth of the Ukraine money back into society, don't we? Or has that just vanished behind the sofa? They said it. They said it themselves, that it's their numbers. I'm using Labour's numbers. Let's make it make sense. As long as this war doesn't last another couple of decades or so, then that's surely going to free up 22 billion.
What they need to into work. So all of these things we are doing in order to get a fairer country, a country where work pays, where we are able to get the finances in order so we can invest into the public services, all of which benefit every single one of those.
All of those things are choices that you have made, because to govern is to choose. Indeed. And I will say to people watching that out of the 22 billion, much of that money came from decisions that you made about raising public sector pay. Some of it was a gap that was still already there in the books,
Even
but some of that was down.
Even Laura Kussenberg knows it's so obvious. She's more in touch with the public than Labour are at the moment. And yes, she is a Tory at heart, a Conservative voter as well. And obviously wants to have a go at Labour at any chance that she gets, as well as everyone who's actually on the left, who she probably despises even more. But again, it's cheap shots when everybody on the doorstep has brought up the winter fuel allowance or PIP payments as the main things. And there could have been a plethora more, the increase in bus fares. What he says at the end, though, is an absolute insult to people. I'll just play through.
To your own decisions. And the notable thing here is Ros Jones, who is a winning Labour candidate, has said to the nation tonight very clearly that she doesn't think that Keir Starmer is listening enough and taking decisions that are made on behalf of ordinary working people in Doncaster, like the people who she persuaded to go out and back, only just holding on to her jobs with her fingertips. What do you say to her? Is she wrong?
She's absolutely right. Again, a cheap shot. Even Laura Kussenberg can pick this up on a political radar, as apparently uneducated as she appears to be normally. And that's coming from within Labour as well. Just a reminder. The fact is, you've got to be honest here. The chips are down now. The count's in. Nigel Farage has managed to convince large sections of the voting public that he's the kind of guy that you can sort of go down the pub and have a drink with. Yeah, you'd probably hear some crude racist jokes if you did that with Farage, of course. Unfortunately, some sections of society would probably actually enjoy that. But he's convinced them nonetheless that he is more of an ordinary man for the people. Again, it's a lie, it's a ruse, he's a snake oil salesman. But he's convinced people more than Starmer. Just rolling your sleeves up at the odd photo opportunity just isn't going to work. In fact, if I even say the two words just on their own as a very basic psychological word association experiment, if I say the words Starmer and pub, there's only one thing that comes straight into my mind, and that's somebody throwing Keir Starmer out of his pub, if you remember that. That's going back a while now, I would say. Around 5-ish years ago. The get out of my pub, fella. Yeah, that's all I can think about. So he's not made that connection, and it's that and the policies as well. And I hope that, unfortunately, people are going to find out after the fact, it appears, that Nigel Farage isn't the person that they think he is. Just very quickly, before I play the last little bit of this clip, some of the comments on some of my videos recently have reflected this. I never get a response. There are certain questions when you put to people on the right that just basically kill the conversation. They include things like asking them to describe or define what communism is, or Marxism, or whatever. And then the other is why they are asking or voting for a privately educated, coots banking stock investor, if he's someone who apparently is on their level. No, he's not on their level at all.
Keir Starmer has made hundreds upon hundreds of decisions since he came in, and Ros could find 3 that she would disagree with.
The new mayor of
Just that last part there, He's made hundreds and hundreds of... We have programmed Keir Starmer to make hundreds and hundreds of decisions, but he can only say 6 phrases.
Since he came in, and Ros could find 3 that she...
Well, let's hear these hundreds and hundreds then, that you can't name. Just, they're simply not there. If there was good social policy, I would give it its fair credit, and I'd say, yeah, the free school meals for kids thing obviously is a good idea. It should be done on a national level, not just at certain schools. There have been a couple of other, fairly okay things, and I give credit where it's due. But that's vastly outweighed. It's vastly outweighed by the way that they're still sticking with austerity-based policies at the end of the day. Yeah, it's like a burglar in the dock in court, and his defence is, "No, look, Your Honour," or members of the jury, whatever, for hundreds and hundreds of days, I didn't burgle houses, and then I burgled 3 houses, so, what's the big deal? You don't want to talk about the hundreds and hundreds of days when I didn't. Is it almost the same argument? I think it is. MD Alamin, hope you're doing well. Thanks for joining us in the chat there. Ridiculous comment, you're quite right there, Flow Snake. Shocking. And so, yeah, that, as I said, sums up why Labour is still doomed to fail. He thought that the Conservatives couldn't get any worse of a response than they did last night. And I can't help but cast my mind back to that recent poll for the general election as well. The Find Out Now poll obviously could have been an outlier. There have been a few questions about the reputability of the surveyor as well. Nonetheless, though, it does, if you project this to a national level, Labour only getting 20% of seats, Reform making such gains, it looks as though it actually might not be that far from what could be coming down the road in a few years. And if you'd have said to a lot of people maybe 10 years ago that one day Nigel Farage's party would be running your local council, they would have laughed you out the room. But I guess the Brexit party weren't a thing back then. Would it have been UKIP? And he would have still been an MEP back then, I believe. Probably the least liked MEP in the entire House. In all of Europe, of all the representatives. Very poor from Peter Kyle. It could have been any other Labour spokes or whatever on there. They would have just said the same thing. Doesn't matter who it is. Same script, different face. That's what you get. That is a good point, Chris. The mainstream media do have a lot to answer for where it comes to the sort of the shift in polarity overall. By focusing on the immigration issue as though it is the #1 issue in the country, when it isn't. And I saw somebody on, it may have been Politics Live, a clip. I just saw a clip of it, and he pointed out the numbers, and you can bring up just the general issue of immigration, or try and focus on immigrant grooming gangs, as the far right often do, but the stats speak for themselves, and they knock that rhetoric out of the ballpark. Why? It's mainstream media's job. Some of them are highly qualified, presenters and analysts and whatnot, but they don't have the nous for basic facts. Yeah, and people should be generally more educated. I've firmly believed for a long time that at least some sort of politics vocation should be on the national curriculum, or sociology. That would perhaps, help kids out. It's like, okay, it's time for real life now. You've got to go out there, you're either going to get a job or you're going to go into further education, whatever you're going to do. But these are the things you need to know. You need to know, like, where you sit politically, what politics is. So at least an understanding of the system itself, how voting works, how Parliament works. The process in getting an idea into an act or a bill, and how it gets passed through Parliament, and things like select committees and how they work, and the rules in the Houses of Parliament, and all these other things, and how you spot a fascist. That'd be, if I was running the course, day 1, lesson 1. Okay, listen up, class. This is very important. We'll get on to all the other dusty, green and red leather seated, boring stuff later on. First of all, how you spot the fash and what to do about it. Report it to your local anti-fash controller, and again, or nearest trade union or committee. Alright people, I did mention something else that was slightly positive. Let's go back to something slightly more uplifting for the aftermath, the results. It's not an actual survey or projection, but it's from Stats for Lefty's just post that they added, a comment that they added, I should say, to one of their other posts. I just wait for that to load up. So they've made a calculation, just going back to the fact that hopefully this could be peak reform at a council level. If you take that as a fact and then you project on the rate of gains for other, and obviously only the Greens, Lib Dem and Reform have really made gains, everybody else is down, way down, Labour and the Tories. So taken into consideration, again this is according to Stats for Lefties, I'll just find the post here. I did want to mention this but I didn't bookmark it, so I'm sure I know where to find it. There it is. Let's get this up on the screen for you, and then I'm going to go into how it's sort of calculated, because they're really good for data they've added. The working out, it's not just hyperbolic shit, you know, that you get from some platforms, usually on the right. I mean, some accounts on platforms, I should say. There we go, we're good to go. Make that a bit bigger for you. So if this is the post, quoting, if these trends solidify, then the Greens will finish this election period with 900 total seats, which is more than Reform. I can believe that. At the moment, it might sound a bit crazy with Reform having the most seats, the Greens having the least, but based on trends, Reform would lose 800 seats, because, you know, up and down it goes. And if they've reached the top, the only way is down. So I hope you can see that pretty clearly there. I'll just make that a bit bigger on the screen. So if you look, the Greens and Reform are next to each other, and then as you go across, you can see that after 2025, Greens would have 900 and Reform would have just under 800, 795. Obviously this is a projection. So I think that's an interesting observation. We'll have to see. Obviously there's, you know, a lot of time to go. Just into the comments now, and let's see if there's any more emphasis on how they've actually worked it out. So they also point out at Stats for Lefties that very few councillors were up for election this week, just 1,600 out of 18,500, and when you take into account all the other seats, the Greens will have 900 total across Great Britain. Interesting, very interesting. I like a good stat. And then from there it's just generally people cheering on whomever they voted for. What do you think about that, people? I think that definitely sounds like something good. I like the actual post. That's the that's a picture in the post. Not going well, is it, Keith? Thanks for dragging us to the 1930s, you fool. Oh yes, good point there, Chris. I was going to mention that a bit later in the stream. I guess I'll just have I'll give it a quick mention now, and this is obviously all about protest, which is something that's particularly close to my heart, of course. Labour have been defeated in the High Court about sentences for protesters. In fact, I might just have a quick look, see if I can find an article. Yeah, the Tories started it. It was adjustments to the Public Order Act, Police Crime and Sentencing Bill as well. You have the Steve Bray Act. We mentioned that recently, didn't we? He was cleared. That was another bit of good news. That was all about the volume of his protests, wasn't it? And of course, there are still 11 brave JSO supporters who are incarcerated as well. I think I can remember where I first saw the decision, but it's one of those. There's a paywall. I'm not going to, subject you to all the BS I'm going to have to use to get around it live on a stream. And this follows an appeal, of course, another appeal about protest recently that had a mixed bag of results. Some sentences were reduced, others weren't. One or two were slightly ironic in the fact that they got reduced after the people in custody had been released anyway. Okay, I might catch up with that a little bit more on the Sunday stream. For now, though, I'm going to go on to Middle East matters. Just need to give this a mention. There was something else about the local results I wanted to mention. I can't remember it off the top of my head. I'm just jamming this one tonight, people. Now, this drone just appeared out of nowhere. Can you see what's missing from this particular article, people? Let's open up the screen. So it's a Beeb article about Gaza. So you know what you have to keep your eyes out for, people. The language, missing words, certain paragraphs at the end of every article. And genuinely, I've not read through, I've just bookmarked it earlier, I've not read through this in full yet, but I would certainly bet that it will end with those same few sentences. Let's take a look-see. After, what do you reckon is missing from this headline, people? I'll just give you a few moments before I scroll down and give Nina, Sadie, Flow Snake and Chris a shout out for the Palestine solidarity in the chats with the emojis and flags. Awesome. So, the headline. Activists say ship aiming to sail to Gaza was attacked by drones. Now, they've not bothered putting a full stop at the end of the sentence, but I'm assured that this sort of thing might be proofread. Don't worry, I'm not going to write in. I'm not one of those people. When will the BBC wake up and realise that sentences end with a full stop? Okay, so I noticed what's missing. They mentioned Gaza. They mentioned the geographical location that they were destined for. But where did this drone come from? It just felt... Maybe it was the Martians. Maybe it was Mars. Of course. Elon's been right all along. We've got to get to Mars pronto. And we've got to take the fight to them. Before it's too late. No, obviously it's from Israel. That's the word that's missing from the headline. Israel. So it probably should read, activists say ship aiming to sail to Gaza was attacked by Israeli drones, or attacked by Israel with a drone. Words to that effect. Let's see what's happening, people. There's a few bits of grainy footage. It's very short, though. I'm not going to play that. It's just grainy CCTV mostly, but there was a large fire from what you can see on it. Also, playing Beeb videos on here tends to lag as it eats up my low amount of CPU. Okay. So it's the Freedom Flotilla coalition who were attacked. They said the ship, which is called the Conscience, was targeted just before 25 past midnight local time on Friday. They issued an SOS. There's been a recording of the distress call that's been heard, and the captain can clearly be heard reporting drone strikes and fire on board. But fortunately everybody was confirmed safe. The fire was brought under control overnight. So just a bit about the Flotilla Coalition. They're an NGO, and they're calling for Israeli ambassadors to be summoned to answer for violation of international law, including the ongoing blockade and the bombing of our civilian vessel. Obviously, the blockade is something that we're all too familiar with at the moment. The Israel military have said that they're looking into reports of the attack. It's so great that they're marking their own homework again, isn't it? I'm so relieved. I really am. Thank goodness this will be a thorough inquiry that will obviously 100% bring the culprits to full justice. No doubt in my mind. And if you believe that, I've got a bridge to sell you. And it's a discount actually this month, so you're getting a really good deal on the bridge. Organisers told the BBC that the group had been operating in total secrecy with a complete media blackout to prevent sabotage as they prepared to sail towards Gaza, where 2 million Palestinians have been under a complete blockade by the Israeli military for more than 2 months now. And they were on the way to take aid. I'm actually surprised at this point that Israel have gone straight to the "we'll look into it ourselves" thing. They normally, the first thing that they'd say was your boat or your ship was made of Hamas. It had all of Hamas in the hull. It's a command centre. The hull, speaking of which, was actually damaged. That's the part of the ship, not the place in Yorkshire. And look at this. I wasn't aware of this. Greta Thunberg was supposed to be on board once it departed for Gaza. She is obviously speaking out in protest against Israel. So that must be via association with the Flotilla Coalition. I think that's an interesting fact. Passed very quickly and loudly there. What was I saying? Yeah, I think that's definitely a very interesting fact to know. Could you imagine? Luckily, nobody was hurt. But could you imagine? Quite a discrepancy between what the Maltese government say about how many people are on board and the organisation itself, who say there were 30. But the Maltese government say it was 12 crew and 4 activists. That sounds a little low on numbers. I don't know. Can't see any reason why the organisation would have to lie anyway. I don't know why Malta are disputing that. It's Malta because it happened after the Conscience left Tunisia on Monday and was 12 to 14 nautical miles off the coast of Malta when it was hit. Just a reminder in the article that because of this blockade, the food is going to completely run out within days, unfortunately. And there we have it at the end. The Israel military launched a campaign to destroy Hamas in response to an unprecedented border attack on the 7th of October 2023, in which 1,200 people were killed and 251 others were taken hostage. At least 52,418 people have been killed in Gaza, probably double that, during the... I'll stop the voice. But you know how it goes, They can't help themselves. They must have some sort of agreements, that they will end every article, whether it's about Israel or Palestine or, in this case, an attack in international waters. But it's got to end with those sentences, otherwise it will not be approved. And this stuff has got to get through. It's a crime. It's a crime. Starvation as a weapon is a crime. They're just adding to the list on the rap sheet, day after day, week after week, month after month. Night, Nina Sadie. Take care, Solidari-Tea. I'll catch up with you soon. And I guess other than that, the main headlines in the mainstream media, at least, today have been about Prince Harry's attempts at reconciling with the royal family. That's not something I'm going to get into. I'm sure I'll come across some clips of somebody making Piers Morgan's piss boil where that's concerned over the next couple of days, so keep a lookout for that. That's a terrible, terrible attack. And it just adds to the list of despicable things that Israel has done since the escalation. But, for decades now. Where's the music? Alright people, time for something slightly more light-hearted again. Just a reminder to keep your suggestions coming in for just a bit of fun we like to have here on the channel with your favourite tea-based puns in music. So add anything sort of tea related to a song title or an artist. You'll get a few examples here. Volume 4 is out this week. There's going to be a new edition every single week. Solidari-Tea.
The new Mayor of Doncaster, newly re-elected.
That's not that clip. That's Laura Kussenberg. Don't buy Laura Kussenberg.
Do you like a hot, tasty beverage with your music? Then my left eye has got a treat for your ears. The Brews at 10, the album, all your favourite beverage-based hits from the 1960s to now, all in one place.
Volume 4 is now available, featuring Only Brew, The Platters, Tease Me, Chakademus and Pliers, Don't Look Back Into the Sun, The Libertines, Bruce Wayne Brews, Elvis Presley, I've Got Darjeeling, The Black Eyed Teas, plus many more. Order now!
Alright people, keep your suggestions coming in for that one. We've got one already in the chat. Floor Snake. Twisting my sobriety by telling... right. Yeah, T-Karam. It's a double pun. Double pun in there. Thanks for that one. Yeah, I've decided I'll keep the Brews at 10 the album towards the end of the streams now, so I know where to look back for your suggestions. But do post them in the comments if you can as well. Just makes them a bit easier to find. I'm sure I'll remember that one though. So I think the new one's going to be out on Monday. Have a think on that and post us some suggestions. I've got a list of my own. I like to mix it up a little. Forgive me for removing the chat for just a moment, but we'll have to say thank you once again to all the members on the channel. Another shout out. Stu, thanks for renewing yours on the stream as well. Thanks for all the gifted memberships recently, everybody. Solidari-Tea. Yes, Chris, as you're saying in the chat, you've got to have some stinkers in there. Iced tea, baby, by Vanilla Ice. Did we have... Let's check that 1 second. I'm not sure if we've had anything Vanilla Ice Tea related yet. I'll go back through the episodes and stuff. It's been a long week. Continue to tea crowd, right? Thanks again, all you members, everybody in the Brew crew. Really do love the solidarity and support for the channel. So my left eye is going to see who's around. With it being a bank holiday, a few people might be treating themselves to a few later nights. And in fact, we do have a choice. We've got the Surf Times, the Vanguard, and No Justice. I think will be slightly biased, having already given a shout out on the channel, on the stream, I should say. We'll go over to Helena at No Justice. Yeah, awesome. Teenage Kicks by the Undertones. Oh, very good, very good. That's a very good one. So you can do the good ones and the bad ones. You've got a good range in your punnery. Love it. Let me see. I've just got a pad. I'll just scroll it on this pad for now. Got a few there. I'll make a note of the timestamp, but I'll find these, don't worry. Yeah, I'll be working on perhaps a new Pat McFadden experience video soon as well. I'm not sure I can make those a weekly thing at the moment, but that will be upcoming perhaps. Right, people, we're going to get towards the end of the stream now. Thank you very much for joining me on tonight's Brews at 10. We'll be raiding into Helena at No Justice, so stay put, everybody. Highly recommended. Make sure you give a thumbs up on the channel when we get over there. You don't have to do anything. You should automatically come over with me when I'm the stream. So thanks again. Whatever you do with the rest of your night, take care. My left eye, I'll be seeing you soon. Free Palestine.